Afternoon. Today is Monday, and it's week number 7 of the SPL. We're here to put a cap on it. We've got North America and Europe today. Hungry for More will start the day off. They have been struggling towards the beginning of the season, but as they get things rolling, they've been looking like a stronger and stronger team every time they come out.
They've been struggling a little bit at the start. They went off 1-7 the first 8 games, and then they went 7-3. So they're carrying off a lot of momentum. Torpedo sitting on the bottom of relegations, 5-13. They're struggling right now as their last 10 games, they're 2-8.
And with that surge that Hungry for More has been able to do, they find themselves in 5th place. Should they go ahead and win both of their games today, they'll be even 10-10, which puts them in the conversation along with Dignitas to be realistically a team that heads to DreamHack.
It's hard to determine which team is going to hit that number 3 spot for DreamHack. All the European teams are looking really strong in the middle of the pack for that number 3 spot.
Yeah, everybody just very, very strong. Torpedo, on the other hand, this is a team that was anticipated to be strong. There's a lot of individual members on here that are very, very good, but they have only done their best to really find splits throughout the year. They've lost and they found splits. So really, they're trying to find a position where they can really assert their dominance.
And with that, they had a role swap between Moex and Gamehunter, trying out new things. Unfortunately for them, since the roster swap, it hasn't been too successful for them, going 1-5.
So with Gamehunter in the long lane and Moex in the short lane, Torpedo have looked a little bit better. But on the other side, Hungry for More will try to do their best to find themselves even for 4th place. We'll get into picks and bans here. Game number 1. Looking for first blood is Hungry for More, and it's enough to take out Korinyo. PrettyPriMe with the 1-2 punch.
No, he's dead.
Teleport.
He's 100% dead. Unless he can, like, one-shot Shaggy.
Fantastic play by Variety, forcing the issue. You know, so we see the Ram in that picture, but really the hunter that everybody's looking at is going to be Apollo. Both teams on either side, a Torpedo on Order and Hungry for More on Chaos with the 2nd pick. They're both really looking at that hunter.
Both Ataraxia and Gamehunter are known to play Apollo at a very high level. They love the split push, especially Gamehunter. You can't leave him alone for even a second. He will get your towers, and then he'll rotate late game and just destroy you.
The Naja taken off the table by Torpedo, however. Hungry for More has really risen to prominence off of a jungle mid lane combo. Most notably, the Vulcan assisted by the crowd control of the Naja, but we've also seen a couple of different ones, Raijin into Fenrir, etc. So Naja and the Apollo, the 2 gods that Toli and I were talking about at first, are definitely not going to be allowed by Torpedo. Hungry for More opting more for the Khepri ban. They just don't want that god in general.
And the Naja ban is really targeted actually towards PrettyPriMe mage pool, because that takes away his Vulcan, potentially the Scylla combo as well. And with that, they ban away the Apollo, electing to go for a different first pick, whether it's a Hunter, we'll see. Hungry for More banning away the Raijin from Korinyo.
Now, Raijin is a character that he's been recently changed, and he's looked absolutely incredible. So Raijin taking away just a strong god that nobody wants to deal with. Torpedo will go ahead and lock in the Chronos. Now, Gamehunter has played this very well, but this can be a little bit of a flex.
We'll see if it is going to be a flex. Now, Hungry for More, if that is going to go to Gamehunter, Hungry for More's strategy is going to have to be towards camping Gamehunter. Not too much, just a little bit. Getting maybe 1 kill and a half. And what I mean by a half is not necessarily kill, just making him back to base, losing farm under tower.
Nemesis will be selected for Hungry for More. This character has not seen a lot of success at all, but the one team that was actually able to make it work, well, it was Hungry for More themselves.
Hungry for More has indeed made Nemesis work. We'll see if they do it again. This next pick should be potentially an aggressive support that can set up the Nemesis ultis, whether it's a Sobek or a bot. It is indeed going to be the Sobek support for Hungry for More.
Now, the Nemesis, as we said, it worked out very well. CaptainTwig was put in a position where he wound up with a zillion assists, and that really is what the character is there to do for the most part. Still, first pick seems a little bit early for the Nemesis. By picking Nemesis in the first section, what does that what kind of thought process does Torpedo have to adjust to?
So now they can't play aggro supports for Murrdurr. They can't play the Ares and the Bacchus and get away with it as if the Nemesis was off the table. Every time the Bacchus will belly flop, the Nemesis will target it. Now you have a little bit of a safer support coming out of the Athena. You have the global pressure. It'll set up the Thor and the Chronos very easily. It can play both aggro and passive at the same time whenever needed.
And that's exactly what you want to do when you're up against Torpedo. Murrdurr has really made a name for himself on Ares specifically, but playing that offense defensive breed of Guardians. So Nemesis there forcing Torpedo to change things up a little bit for Murrdurr. They've got Athena, they've got Thor, they've got Chronos. I don't think Torpedo's too concerned about their draft, honestly.
Not at all. Hungry for more, picking up tier. And Variety has played so far 7 games this season on tier. This is going to be his 8th game on tier, with a Guan Yu ban away for Torpedo. It's looking pretty good composition for Hungry for More so far, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the tier and the Sobek, 2 gods that have been very powerful in general, but specifically for this team. And the Nemesis, sort of the flare pick that has worked out for CaptainTwig and Hungry for More largely, but also, like you said, more importantly, forces Torpedo to choose a certain Guardian. So the selection of Nemesis here is very highbrow. It's less about ensuring that you get Nemesis and less about what counters her, and more about what she counters and how your opponent has to adapt to that situation.
Hercules banned for Hungry for More, targeting Moix a little bit. They did find 1 win with him playing Hercules so far, so that could be a strategy that Hungry for More is going with the Nemesis and the tier. It's very easy to gank a solo laner with a Nemesis ulti, taking away those protections, taking away the movement speed as well, and Hercules already being difficult to gank, so looking for a different solo laner for Moix.
Vulcan and Nox will be taken away by Torpedo, so making sure Hungry for More's PrettyPriMe doesn't really have his pick of the litter. They're going to force PrettyPriMe into something a little bit more traditional. It'll be Janus.
There's a lot of mobility for Hungry for More so far. You got the Nemesis double dash, both dashes for the Sobek and the tier. With the Janus threshold and the portals, Hungry for More is looking really mobile so far. And Torpedo, on the other hand, does have the global presence with the Thor and the Athena. I wouldn't be surprised if they add a Neath on top of this.
The Ravana will certainly be coming, and Torpedo will be dealing that out up against Hungry for More, likely to be in the solo lane. With their last pick here available, it should be the mid lane.
Could be a Hunter as well. We don't really know where that Chronos is going quite yet. That is a flex.
And it's a flex pretty much for this situation. Torpedo want to wait until the last spot to really look at the enemy composition and allow that to dictate where the Chronos goes. The Chronos will in fact be in the hands of Gamehunter in the long lane, and Korinyo will be playing on the Burst Mage Scylla.
I like this pick coming out of Torpedo because the Thor can set up the Scylla in the 2v2, and then once the 3v3s come around, the Athena will be able to set up the Scylla as well. So the mid to late game teamfight's definitely favoring Torpedo in terms of burst. It's up to Hungry for More to establish that early game dominance and roll with it.
Chiron, definitely one of the gods that Hungry for More, specifically this team, are eager to play. Ataraxia has been counted a number of times, just saying, you know, Chiron suffered a little bit of a nerf, but in general, it's still totally okay.
And as long as he's able to not necessarily bait the front line, but just play behind the front line and following up, then he should be in a good position.
Nemesis here in her sophomore performance in the SPL, hoping for another win. Can Hungry for More make it work? We'll find out as we head to the battleground of the gods.
Good purification from Zeros. Snipe connected from Korinyo to confirm it. Bobat is dead. He's going to use purification while in the air. Big shield from Murrdurr keeps him alive, though, and a cataclysm too. Great play from Murrdurr. Big ultimate onto Jungle, who gets knocked up as well. Evaporated. Drums of Warcraft and NinjaBobat actually to find that one.
That Chiron pick for Ataraxia. Hungry for More, definitely understanding themselves a little bit more and more each week. And this is the first time I think that we've seen Hungry for More. They've been consistently improving, and then they reached a spot where they were able to get a number of wins recently. And here they are one more time. Now, I think Hungry for More is on the front foot going forward in this matchup.
They are a little bit. We do see the red pot for the Thor, the purple for the Scylla. They're going to be looking to play very hyper-aggressive coming out of Torpedo. So Hungry for More are going to need to recognize that and adapt to the situation. They can't get picked off early on. Red pot on the Nemesis is a little interesting to see. Normally you would want to get the mobility online a little bit and allow the Thor and the Scylla just to take control early on and then look for the counter engage later.
Exactly. With the red pot here, normally Nemesis being such an item-dependent in character, we usually see the boots built right away. But the red pot for CaptainTwig, now when you see the red pot on most junglers, a lot of it has to do with, okay, this is the signal that I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to look to invade. I'm going to look for the early ganks. But when you're a Nemesis going up against a Thor, that red pot is really there just to even the playing field.
It's very difficult. You have the long range setup, the Thor, the Scylla can catch you off guard as well. You can never use your double dash to engage onto this Thor and the Scylla. You're more than likely having to use that to escape. And if you don't have the boots for further escape, then you can get caught out and chased down.
CaptainTwig here will go ahead, clear the buff out with his friend, and the junglers will head directly towards the solo lane. This is pretty much what we've been seeing. Occasionally, junglers will head towards the mid a little bit earlier, but in general, we're seeing the group up here for one single wave before the junglers disappear one more time and head for the Fire Giant minions.
And those Fire Giant minions are going to be worth a lot of gold. It's going to be 90 for Twig, 45 for Variety. It's going to be a nice little chunk of change into their pocket. We'll see if they can snowball that with the next 2-minute rotations, and they also get the right side mid Harpies on top. Meanwhile, Scylla grabbing those lefts on her own, getting level 3, while PrettyPriMe is still level 2.
I like the commitment coming out from Variety to come all the way to those mid Harpies, just to ensure that they go the way of Hunger for More.
And that's what you need to do as a solo laner. Whenever you clear the wave already, you have to rotate and get something else instead of just standing there dilly-dallying. Grabbing those Fire Giant Imps puts you a little bit further ahead. And then that little experience lead might get you level 5 first, and then you might look for a play, bully the enemy out, and then look for maybe a blue buff steal or more Fire Giant.
There's just so many options off of that decision tree. It's very much, whenever you see somebody standing in lane and jumping up and down, there is a 99% chance they're doing it wrong. Because there is always something on the map to do, whether it's back camps, whether it's share a wave with somebody else. Once in a while, that 1%, you'll wind up where everything's gone, nothing can be done, but it's very rare.
And even then, you could still just position yourselves into the jungle just to clutter the enemy communications. Like, hey, my solo laner is missing. Just watch out middle for like the next 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, Dimmy does that a lot. We see that a lot out of the side lanes at a Panthera, honestly, playing with the opponent's mindset. Emilito will play Neath and just channel the ultimate all the time, just forcing the enemy to sort of dance around the thought process and have that in their mind, and just keeping your opponent a little bit uncomfortable is really what this is about.
And eventually that one time that you don't call it, it actually happens, and then your team is looking at you like,
yep,
come on, mate.
Exactly. It was supposed to be called. So mid lane, a little bit of wave clear coming out. Here with the Janus, it's a little bit less, it's a little bit less simple than Korinyo. All he does is plop down the crush. And with the way Scylla works, she's gotten a recent change as well. With Purple Pot on the Scylla, she's clearing the wave by level 3, level 4, instead of all the way at level 8 like we're used to seeing.
And now Variety grouping up with the middle and jungler, getting those Fire Giant Imps yet again. Buffs are going to respawn. Both teams kind of feeling themselves out right now until they want to use their global presences, whether it's the Janus ult or the Thor ult, to initiate some action. And as a result of these global presence, the Silence have to be extra cautious about when those globals are going to come out. So the wards are going to need to be placed a little bit aggressive to spot that out.
We've got a nice mix of compositions here in our match today. Hunger for More, I think they're a little bit more situated for the mid game, so to speak, with all their gods. Nemesis will work very well as she goes into the late game, as long as her teammates are going to be very aggressive, as they are right now. Hunger for More positioning around the enemy speed.
And the reasoning why they're being this aggressive is they have the boots advantage. They back first. They have boots 2 on Nemesis. Thor is forced to back off. The Janus has boots 1. Scylla doesn't have any boots. Thor doesn't have any boots. And that's a small little power spike going into Hungry for More's favor. We even have a rotation out of MANALIKE.
So just understanding the very small steps forward that your team takes throughout the game, understanding that a power spike isn't always, I've got Deathbringer, let's go, and sometimes it's a little bit smaller than that. Taunt into 2 comes out from the guys on Torpedo, and a slow Janus ultimate going to be off the mark, as will NinjaBobat. But there's the ultimate out of MANALIKE, just creating some distance, and Hungry for More go ahead. They steal the speed buff, and they get a couple of ultimates out of the way for it.
And they also steal the enemy blue buff. The defensive ultis used from Korinyo, it didn't synergize with that Thor ultimate. That's a little bit off the mark. Dash taunt connecting onto MANALIKE. This could be first blood. No, he's going to get away.
That was a little bit different. Torpedo certainly got a lot done there, but MANALIKE already able to wiggle his way out despite not being very tanky at all.
And with this, Hungry for More already up about 1,000 gold, and now they're going to grab more of their own buffs, extending their lead even further. And now that they have the speed and the blue buff timers as well, and with an aggressive ward, if Torpedo overextend too much trying to defend the speed and the blue, then that leaves Gold Fury exposed. So this could be a little bit of a mind game depending on how Hungry for More want to play it on the next rotations.
Sort of pick your poison, like you said. If too much commitment to one specific, Hungry for More can make that option play. And this has been very fun watching Hungry for More really turn into the squad that they've been really become. PrettyPriMe has been a big part of that, using the brawn between him and the jungler, CaptainTwig, just as the 1-2 punch, to be the catalyst for what Hungry for More took. All right, we've got a couple of wins now. Now we can explore different game wins. Now we can try different situations. Not always going for the mid-jungle combination. Sometimes looking, last time, they had a really cool displacement composition where it was all just pushing the enemy out of the way.
Hungry for More are definitely feeling themselves. CaptainTwig playing more aggressive than
Yep.
we're used to seeing. We had Zindern go back to his coaching position. MANALIKE, aka Frezzy, reunited with Variety. So these Hungry for More is definitely now very comfortable the way they're playing these last couple of games.
Fearless off the mark, but still, no harm, no foul. Tyr's able to do whatever he wants.
And this is fine because Variety has the blue buff, Moex doesn't. So Variety has that luxury of wasting these abilities, even if they don't connect.
Little bit of poke going both ways as Nemesis uses the shield to get rid of the double tap from Thor. And on the side lane, we'll visit our Hunters for the first time all game. Gamehunter has finished that Doom Orb. Now, Doom Orb has really become passé. It's not the way to go most of the time on these mages, but when you see the mage Hunters, they're a little bit safer over here, so we do still see the Doom Orb.
Especially when you have an Athena in a Guardian position that's able to ultimate anywhere on the map. So you always have the luxury of bailing out with a damage reduction, and then once she lands, she's able to peel the enemy off of you. You also have Rewind as well, so you're pretty safe going Chronos in the side lane.
Yeah, very, very safe character. There's the clear out of Chiron. So Chiron's a god that we haven't seen very often, still going into boots. Double dash from CaptainTwig, not going to find much of anybody, but MANALIKE gets the purification out of Korinyo. That's a win in and of itself, and it's going to force one ultimate from Thor as well. And again, Hungry for More put all their attention towards the speed buff, and they'll transition to the blue buff as well. So HFM have just been completely denying Torpedo's jungle.
And now Moex can't get his blue buff yet again. His teleport is down. There's no one in position to contest that. So twice in a row, Hungry for More is able to steal the speed and the blue, extending the lead even further. And with this rotations, now there has to be a response for Torpedo. They can't just watch Hungry for More take their buffs. They have to either invade the opposite side or force a Gold Fury.
And they're going to try and force a fight. Murrdurr gets a good taunt into some damage onto MANALIKE, but a flip backwards, and now Murrdurr's in a bad spot, getting tail whipped, and the ultimate from Scylla will find a home, but it won't find a kill just yet. Double dash and the flip. Variety gets first blood. Murrdurr will fall down. That's a dead support.
7.5 minutes, finally credited first blood onto Variety, already having an advantage 2 levels now ahead of Moex, and with that Hungry for More positioning themselves around the left side mid Harpies. The Tyr went back to the right side lane, so he's not going to miss out on any farm as well.
Korinyo in a dangerous spot for the moment. Hungry for More going to come around from both sides. MANALIKE from the right, CaptainTwig from the left. Fling's going to be off the mark, but there's a good knock-up as well. Dash already down, Nemesis catches up, and one slap. Korinyo falls down. Bobat's able to take out the support, but it's a 1-for-1. Support for mid lane. I'll take that.
Moex has rotated right now. We do have the teleport from Variety is down, so there's no way that he can rotate here, as CaptainTwig's going to have to retreat, and the Janus defensive portals are going to allow them to escape. I like the way Hungry for More played that. Even trading 1-for-1 there, support for middle is fine. They recognize that Korinyo's purification was down. Moex just getting poked out a little bit, but he'll be fine at the end of the day.
Yeah, about half of his HP bar, which is honestly a lot, but he won't die, which is the key here. Gamehunter tries to get a little crafty, but doesn't find anything for his efforts.
Just going to continue to farm, trying to build those Doom Orb stacks, currently sitting on 30. If you look at the player damage, Variety has been on top of the chart this game, always looking for that play around the speed and the blue buff, and that's something that Hungry for More is doing a very good job so far, and that's why they established such a dominant early game lead. And Torpedo, like I mentioned before, they have to find a way to respond if they want to get back into this game.
And what is that? Because MANALIKE is making sure that Torpedo aren't able to sneak around and play Lurker. If anybody's by themselves, they're getting plugged into the teammates. So really, where's the window for Torpedo to look at?
They have to make sure that they have sentry vision around Gold Fury, that Chronos will start the Gold Fury with somebody else. They showed the Athena presence like, hey, I'm defending speed buff, but not really. I'm going to ulti Gold Fury, and we're going to try to sneak it while you steal our speed and blue. There's
the ultimate onto Murrdurr, and a good pump from the Sobek. CaptainTwig able to secure the 3rd kill for Hungry for More. Up in the air, NinjaBobat getting aggressive. Lands right next to the support, can't find it. Scylla still does, not enough to kill MANALIKE.
Variety finding a solo kill onto Moex as CaptainTwig cleans up NinjaBobat. 3-for-0 for Hungry for More. And looks like PrettyPrime's going to look for a kill. Not going to find it as well. Gold Fury still available. Gamehunter was thinking about rotating, but he is going to elect to keep on farming on the left-hand side. Now, Hungry for More is just not taking their foot off of the gas pedal. They want to consistently steal the speed buff yet again. Blue buffs up. They don't care about Gold Fury because they know that Torpedo doesn't have the tools in terms of stealing the Gold Fury away, so they're taking the little things away.
Gold Fury is right on the halfway mark of the map. It's equal opportunity, both order and chaos. On the other hand, the buffs that are on your side, they are free. You sort of take that into account when you're leveling up. Okay, I'm the jungler. I'm going to get all this. I'm going to get all this farm. But if there's a Nemesis consistently in your jungle, well, you have to turn around and punish her. Right here, rooted, double tapped, and here comes Athena, taunt into it. The cooldown on the dash still too long. Hunger for More finds their jungler in a little bit of trouble.
It looks like CaptainTwig will be able to get away, does have the speed buff available, and with the Nemesis ulti allowing her to escape, Variety should be fine as well. He still has his ultimate and a blue buff to allow him to get the mana for that.
Huge play by Variety there. I mean, honestly, CaptainTwig was up a creek right there, just nowhere for him to go. But Variety shows up with a good rotation out of the lane and is able to get the Fearless on CaptainTwig's aggressors, and that's why our jungler still has 0 deaths. And this, I love the build coming out from CaptainTwig, understanding exactly what Nemesis's role is. She's not Loki. She's not here to kill you in one burst. She's here to do a little bit different of a job.
She just wants to get off her ulti and be able to chase the target down. Now having the runic shield as well, that's going to allow her to target anybody, specifically Gamehunter more than anyone else. He's the highest level in Torpedo, so that's the only target that they have to worry about as they're trying to control vision around Gold Fury. They have a lot of gold to their advantage, a lot of experience as well. If they can find a pick or get Gamehunter's rewind down, then they can re-engage shortly after, and that's what they're looking to do.
This Nemesis pick is a utility pick that can wind up doing damage because of the utility she brings. So building the utility items. You've got the shield to deal with the offensive nature of Gamehunter, and then between the ultimate and a couple of damage abilities, you're able to find a kill off of the help of the Hunter. Ataraxia winds up with that one.
Just like that, and another pick potentially as Korinyo gets plucked. Not going to find a kill, however. Purification was used. I'm a monster used as well.
It's too
PrettyPriMe finding the kill, and it looks like NinjaBobat takes a spill as well.
Hunger for More, 8 kills to 1. And now Ataraxia trying to find it over the fence. Can't, but the team will look directly towards the objective. Gold Fury already down to about half HP, and nobody from Torpedo is available to come take a look. We've got 8 to 1 on the kills, and on the gold, a very different story. Torpedo down by already 7,000 gold. Hunger for More have turned completely around.
And more than that, they almost up 13,000 experience at the 12.5 minute mark. This is really strong lead out of Hungry for More. It's going to be very difficult now for Torpedo to kind of bounce back. This is that top of the hill climb that's supposed to go down for them, but it's not. It's going to be a roller coaster that they're never going to get off of.
Hungry for More, well, they're going to sign up a second time. These guys, the beginning of the season, these guys just, I mean, objectively looked like a team that needed some help. They just could not find a win for the life of them. And then right away, week 2, we saw an immediate improvement that didn't lead to any wins. But then as it kept going, we got this team. Variety finds a kill after the push and the pull into the wall. Korinyo falls down. And the rest of Hungry for More just doing their job, paying attention to the buffs. 4 rotations of the right-hand jungle have just been taken away from by Hungry for More. The only buffs that Torpedo have had were the initial ones that spawned.
And there's nothing that they can do about it. When the solo laner is 5 levels ahead of your mid laner, they're going to die to that full tier combo. Even one CC just to follow up, and then there goes your DPS. You don't have Scylla. The only thing you're relying on further from there is Chronos, but it's Gamehunter. He's not leaving his lane anytime soon. He wants to just farm, and he wants to get to that hyper carry late game stage, but it's going to be a tall task for Torpedo because they're down way too much at this point.
Yeah, Bobat has just not been able to really get his feet out from underneath him. He's trailing by, I mean, look at that, 5,900. He's about 6,000 gold, whereas CaptainTwig on the other side, he's got 8,500. That's 2,500 more gold, not on the teams, on the jungle by itself. And by the way, 4 levels as well. That's not an accident. That's the game plan that Hungry for More came into this match attempting to execute, and so far, they've done just that.
He has such a comfortable lead, CaptainTwig, that he's able to have Jotuns before the Thor even finishes. On top of that, has the utility runic shield, and now he's building into potentially Hide of the Urchin just to get more defenses and be able to tank further.
Yeah, just more defensive options for the Nemesis to go ahead and be in the middle of battle. Nemesis is a character that, if she wants to succeed, she's got to be in the middle of the fight all the time, using that shield to give her some knockback damage, and then turning that around and finding the right target for the ultimate and going all in. Variety, on the other hand, he's just got to find a squishy mage. Fearless into the power cleave, a flip, and one more cleave puts Korinyo in the ground. Variety has been making that move so often.
And on the left-hand side, forcing the rewind out of Gamehunter, looks like CaptainTwig and Ataraxia are going to be met also with... We do have mid lane Murrdurr. It's actually going to get pushed out of the tower.
Power cleave. Down comes Bobat to save Murrdurr, but Variety says no. One more kill on the mid tower goes the way of the solo lane. And MANALIKE with a good sickening strike finds the kill on a Bobat. No one in a blue jersey still remains in the mid lane, so Hungry for More should bark down this tower for free. And a kill over in the left-hand side if they can find the last hit. Hungry for More in some trouble. But CaptainTwig gets the dash away, and here comes Variety. Fearless, power cleave, fearless, done, son. Variety all the way from the other side of the map puts lucky number 13 on the board for Hungry for More.
Lucky number 13, not lucky for Gamehunter as his rewind was down. He didn't have any relics available at the time his purification just came up. MANALIKE able to barely escape as well. Whenever the enemy support is playing aggressive like MANALIKE is by himself, trying to 1v2, you know you're in a difficult spot right now. And with that, Hungry for More are positioning themselves, trying to find another pick. Red buff has been taken away by Ataraxia, sitting at level 17.
Yeah,
not even the 17 minute mark.
And that's where I was going to go with that. You always love to harp on the experience because depending on the god, most of the time, I mean, these levels are so important. Just flat out, you don't know anything about the game. You look at the bottom of the screen. There's 4 levels higher on the right side. There's 4 levels higher on the right side. There's 5 levels higher on the right side for the mid lane. You're looking at 3 and 3 for the dual lane, both combined. I mean, that's in a bad spot. There's just too many numbers on the side of Hungry for More, leading the game by 11,000 gold at 16 minutes.
And the earlier engage, it was a 1-on-3 onto CaptainTwig, and that shield from the Nemesis just absorbed all the damage from the Scylla and the Thor. There was nothing that they can do about it. Speed buff not going to get taken away this time, but there's an engage onto Moex.
Nemesis ultimate used on top of the Ravana, so he's a little bit squishy, but the guys from Hungry for More can't catch up. Moex stops for the back Harpies. That might have been a problem. Double fearless, double power cleave. We can't find the last hits. PrettyPriMe finds a snipe, and Variety flips over the top to get Korinyo off the map. One more kill. Variety he's been on fire and lights out, but really, for me, what's impressive about what Variety's been able to do is the fact that he's been all over the map,
and
all sides.
Like everyone from Hungry for More is playing aggressive, forcing a rewind out of Gamehunter. Ataraxia still has his ultimate, so he's looking to be very frisky, especially with Variety meeting up with him as well. We have a tower dive by MANALIKE, finding the Athena clock. Not going to find the kill, however.
And I love that play coming out from the Janus, using the portal to allow his teammate to walk in. That's going to be a taunt onto the tier. Could be some problems. Variety wants to get aggressive, and they'll push out while they have the Hunter do the dirty work on top of the tower. NinjaBobat's able to find a kill on the right side, however, so it's not completely for free. But Torpedo still trailing by a large margin as Hungry for More takes out a tier 1, a tier 2, and finds a kill of their own.
CaptainTwig was kind of buying time in that situation as the rest of Hungry for More was able to find that tier 2 tower. Moex was paired up with NinjaBobat in a 1v2 situation against Twig, but it doesn't matter. Hungry for More get the objectives as a result. They got the tier 2 tower, and now they get the Gold Fury at the 18.5 minute mark. They're running away with this game, sitting at 15,000 gold lead, 23,000 experience already.
I mean, like I said, I think it's about time, Toli. You know, earlier in the season, I said, look, this is a squad. They're going to have some trouble. And then after week 1, I dubbed them hungry for losses. And a lot of these guys sort of got on my case about that one. But with the way they've been playing, not just today, but also last week, and just watching them build up to this point, this team, not just this week, but they've always really been hungry for wins. It's just a matter of them being able to get to the point. 2 weeks ago, we saw them start to turn up. Last week, we saw them do very, very well. And this week, we're seeing them dominate. I mean, this is a 5-digit lead in under 20 minutes. This is a very strong team at the moment.
Who predicted that Hungry for More could have potentially squeezed into that number 3 spot out of us? I forget.
I think it was one of those. I think it was the bad caster.
Oh, it was the bad caster. Yeah.
What was his name again?
That guy sucks.
Oh yeah, it was Anatoly.
Oh,
That's who it was.
yeah.
No. But so you predicted Hungry for More to actually make a run for the trip to Sweden. Is this what you sort of expected?
I expected for them to come back with a roster swap as well. They're very comfortable with these positions, like we mentioned. MANALIKE reunited with Variety. Zindern going back to that coaching position, and now they're kind of finding their stride yet again. And it's kind of a lock for Panthera for sure. Number 2 and 3 is questionable. At the time, it was Cringe Crew and Paradigm. Paradigm looking a little iffy right now. Hungry for more. This is their chance to try to break into that number 3 spot. And the way they played this game specifically, they clearly have a very good strategy, and it made it work. Just bullying this solo lane with the speed and the blue buff. If they continue this in the future sets, then they can definitely make number 3.
Now here's something that I really want to see before I really commit to the dream hack. It's Mox gets aggressed on by 1, 2, 3, 4 different players for Hungry for More. Half HP and a beautiful wall from NinjaBobat stops the onslaught.
And look at Variety. He's trying to chase out Gamehunter, not connecting on the full Fearless, but only using half the Fearless and the Power Cleave. Already half of Gamehunter's health is gone just like that off of one character.
And the pressure has been put so that the rest of Hungry for More can go ahead, look at Fire Giant. This has been Variety's job all year. Be way too far away from the team, but in doing so, the enemy's too far away from the team. So the important secured objectives actually successfully go their way. Nice route coming out from Korinyo to stop Variety in his tracks, but the damage has been done. Fire Giant goes away for Hungry for More, and this is where I need to start seeing, this is where I really want to see the final pushes. I want to start seeing the Phoenix sieges and stuff like that.
That's what they have to do, and that's what they're clearly going to. As the tier 2 tower in the middle falls, Gamehunter trying to get the tier 1 left-hand side is not going to matter because the middle Phoenix is being sieged, and that's going to go down very soon.
There's a little bit of resistance from Torpedo. Ultimately, not too much. Got to find the basic attacks, and one more shot should send it to the bank. And the middle Phoenix, the first one to go down at 21-20. Hungry for More retreat into the jungle. Not going for the right Phoenix just yet.
They want to be able to push it with the wave. They don't want to Phoenix dive it without a wave because then it becomes that much harder to kill. When you have minions on top of that, you eliminate the backdoor protections. Your Hunter's going to do double, everybody's going to do double damage to the Phoenix, allowing it to go down safer and faster.
So here they come, Hungry for More now, looking for the final set, or at least the Phoenix sets. They're going to come right on down the lane. You've got a little bit of help from Bobat on the right-hand side. Everybody knows it from Hungry for More, so they'll just focus on to the Phoenix itself.
Look at the way the Janus is positioning himself on the minimap. He's looking through space and time somewhere around this team fight. Not going to find it, however, but looks like Murrdurr is going to be the first
Still
victim.
the death. CaptainTwig starts that off of a fantastic ultimate. Korinyo now coming over the top. Won't find anybody, but Variety finds the mid laner. Stopped out after one Fearless. The Power Cleave will be immune, but Variety gets the job done with a final Fearless. Korinyo falls right after CaptainTwig finds one for himself. 3 dead on the side of Torpedo, and Hungry for More, they're pushing right on in. 2 Phoenixes are good enough, says them. Order Titan down, half HP already. Ultimate coming in from the Ravana, not going to be enough. Order Titan falls down, and Hungry for More has one of their most devastatingly dominant performances thus far, 17-2.
17-2, a very aggressive CaptainTwig commanding his squad to follow up off of the speed buff invade, and as a result, this gets Variety ahead as well. They consistently get the Fire Giant imps, they invade the speed in blue, they had a consistent plan. Torpedo couldn't respond to Hungry for More's aggressive strategy.
Spark.